Imagine growing up in the shadow of one of the biggest names in hip-hop. T.I., a rap mogul, entrepreneur, and family man, has always had the spotlight on him, but recently the focus has shifted to his sons, Damani and Messiah, and not in the way you'd expect. What's going on behind closed doors? Why are Damani and Messiah making headlines for stepping out of T.I.'s shadow? Damani's decision to ditch the fame of the family hustle for a solo music career left fans scratching their heads. And Messiah, he's been the subject of endless rumors about why he's been so out of the public eye. Is it rebellion, a need for independence, or is there something deeper happening within the Harris family? In this video, we're diving deep into the real stories of Damani and Messiah Harris, unpacking the truth behind the gossip and uncovering how T.I., the father and the star, is navigating this new chapter in their lives. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's happening behind the scenes of one of the most talked about families in entertainment. To truly understand the turning points in Damani and Messiah's lives, we first need to dive into the origins of the Harris family, a family that has been under the public's watchful eye for years, constantly navigating the delicate balance between personal life and fame. At the head of this family is T.I., a legendary rapper who became a household name in the early 2000s. Known for his catchy hooks and gritty storytelling, T.I. didn't just create music, he built an empire. But beyond the success and fame, there's another side of him that many don't see. He's also a father of 7, and this fatherhood aspect has shaped his children's experiences in ways that go beyond what the public sees in headlines. Messiah, the eldest son of T.I. and his wife, Tamika "Tiny" Harris, has been in the public eye for as long as he can remember. As the firstborn, Messiah always had this weight on his shoulders. He was expected to be the responsible one, the one who would carry the legacy of the Harris family with pride. Despite his father's fame, Messiah has always been the more private, more reserved sibling. He was often seen as someone who was a little more focused on building his own identity, separate from his father's spotlight. But it wasn't just the pressure of fame that shaped him. Messiah, at a young age, seemed to have a natural ability to distance himself from the world of showbiz. His choice to stay largely out of the limelight, especially when the family reality show, The Family Hustle, was in full swing, told us a lot about where his priorities lay. He focused on his education, moving to college, and just being a regular young adult, despite his father's fame. Then there's Damani, the next son in line. While Messiah seemed to embrace a quieter path, Damani's relationship with fame was far more complicated. Damani wasn't interested in being just the son of T.I. He wanted to carve out his own space, to be known for his own talent. Damani entered the music industry, following in his father's footsteps, but he didn't want to be seen merely as the rapper's son. He wanted to be recognized for his own unique skills. Despite his musical ambitions, Damani took an unexpected route. He stepped away from the family's reality TV project. He made the decision to not appear on The Family Hustle, a decision that caught many by surprise. It was a bold move, one that reflected his desire for privacy and independence from the pressure of living in the shadows of his father's fame. But Damani's journey wasn't just about avoiding the limelight, it was about self-discovery. From a young age, Damani felt the weight of being T.I.'s son, constantly dealing with comparisons to his father. But instead of folding under that pressure, Damani used it as fuel to do things differently. He didn't just want to be another rapper on the scene, he wanted to redefine what success meant for him and separate himself from the label of being a celebrity child. But despite all their differences in how they've approached fame, both Damani and Messiah share a common thread, a desire to shape their own futures, not defined by their father's success, but on their own terms. For Messiah, that meant taking a step back from the public eye and leading a quieter life, while for Damani, it meant challenging the expectations of what it means to be the son of a superstar. Despite their efforts to distance themselves from the public eye, Damani and Messiah couldn't escape the inevitable, the pressure of being T.I.'s sons. Growing up in such a public family meant that every decision, every misstep, and every triumph was under a microscope. But what happens when you're constantly under the weight of expectations, both from the public and from within your own family? For Messiah, the challenge was about carving out his own path away from the constant media attention that comes with being T.I.'s eldest. As he grew older, the weight of being the firstborn came with its own set of expectations. He wasn't just T.I.'s son, he was supposed to be the heir to the family legacy, but with that came an enormous amount of pressure. Messiah's decision to pursue a career in education and stay out of the entertainment industry wasn't just a personal choice, it was a way to rebel against the public's expectations. It was about having control over his own narrative, deciding that he wanted to define himself by his own accomplishments, not by his famous father's achievements. But the path Messiah took wasn't without its own set of struggles. While he may have stayed out of the spotlight, he couldn't completely avoid avoid the inevitable comparisons. People still expected him to follow in his father's footsteps. Even though he wasn't publicly chasing the same career in music, the weight of his family's legacy was a constant in his life. It was a battle between wanting to be seen for who he truly was and being constantly boxed into the role of T.I.'s son. Now, on the other side of the family, we have Domani. While Messiah stepped away from the entertainment world, Domani jumped into it, but with his own set of rules. Domani's decision to pursue music wasn't just a natural extension of being born into a family full of artists. No, it was more than that. Domani's story was one of rebellion, creativity, and defiance. He wanted to show the world that he wasn't just another rapper trying to cash in on the family name. He was serious about his craft, his message, and his identity. But Domani's journey came with its own challenges. While his father's fame could have easily opened doors for him, it also closed others. The stigma of being a rapper's son was a double-edged sword. On one hand, people expected him to inherit his father's success, and when he didn't, it became easy for critics to dismiss him. On the other hand, being a son of such a well-known figure meant that every track, every lyric, and every move was under constant scrutiny. Domani had to fight to prove that he wasn't just living off his family's fame. He had to fight to be seen as his own person, with his own voice, and his own purpose in the music industry. The question then becomes, what does it mean to be the child of someone famous, yet not want to follow in their exact footsteps? For both Domani and Messiah, it's a constant struggle of identity, finding the balance between their family legacy and their own personal dreams. They each made decisions that reflected their desire for autonomy, but those decisions came with consequences, ones that shaped their paths in ways they couldn't have imagined when they first made them. In a world where fame and success are often synonymous, Domani and Messiah's stories are a testament to the complexity of carving out your own space when the world is always watching. They remind us that it's not always easy to find your way in the shadow of such big names, but it's possible. And sometimes, it takes making difficult choices to define your own journey. Now that we've seen the pressure and the challenges Domani and Messiah faced, let's turn our attention to how these experiences shaped them into the individuals they are today. For Messiah, the path of personal growth was rooted in education and the decision to stay out of the limelight. It wasn't just about avoiding the media or staying out of his father's shadow. It was about creating a sense of stability and purpose in his own life. Messiah chose a career in education where he could make a tangible impact on the lives of others. It wasn't the easiest route, nor the most glamorous, but it was the one that allowed him to stay grounded and find a sense of fulfillment on his own terms. While the decision to step away from the public eye may have been seen as a rejection of fame and fortune, for Messiah, it was an act of self-preservation. He saw the pitfalls of the entertainment industry, the constant media attention, the pressure to conform, and the never-ending comparisons, and knew that wasn't the life he wanted. Instead, Messiah put his energy into making a difference in the community, giving back through education, and showing the world that his success didn't need to be measured in platinum records or sold-out arenas. His success was measured by the lives he touched and the impact he made. On the flip side, Domani's personal growth took a different shape. His decision to pursue music was never about following the crowd or simply riding on his father's fame. For Domani, music was his way of expressing himself, of telling his story, and of dealing with his own demons. The music industry is tough, and Domani had to work hard to earn his place. Unlike some who might have been content to rely on the family name, Domani's journey was about proving that he was more than just T.I.'s son. He wanted to create music that resonated with people, not because of who he was, but because of what he had to say. But Domani's path hasn't been without its hurdles. The music industry is notoriously difficult to break into, and for someone like Domani, whose last name was both a blessing and a curse, every step was amplified. He had to overcome the stigma of being just another rapper's son and show that he had his own voice. Over time, Domani started to carve out his niche in the music world, gaining respect for his skills, his raw talent, and his willingness to experiment with different sounds. But even then, the question lingered. Could Domani ever truly escape the shadow of his father? Would he always be compared to T.I. regardless of his own achievements? Domani's growth, however, wasn't just about overcoming external obstacles. It was about learning to trust himself, to define his own identity, and to separate his worth from the expectations others had for him. His journey in the music industry became a process of self-discovery, of learning to embrace both his strengths and his flaws. He didn't have all the answers, but with every album, every verse, he learned more about who he was and more about who he wanted to be. And what about their relationship with their father, T.I.? In the eyes of of the public, the expectations were clear. Damani was the one who would continue the musical legacy, and Messiah would follow in his footsteps as a role model and leader. But the reality is far more nuanced. Both of T.I.'s sons were carving out their own paths, and even though their journeys took different directions, they shared one common truth. They were no longer just T.I.'s sons. They were individuals with their own dreams, struggles, and definitions of success. As both men evolved and matured, they came to realize that personal growth doesn't happen on anyone else's timeline. It happens when you're ready. Whether in music or education, Damani and Messiah both found their place in the world. They learned that growth is not just about following the path others lay out for you. It's about creating your own, even if it doesn't fit the mold people expect. And that's the real legacy they've created, not just by standing next to their father's success, but by standing on their own 2 feet and making their own mark on the world. While Damani continues to push the limits of his creativity and define his own style in the music world, Messiah remains focused on creating lasting change in education and in his community. Both have found their voices, their purpose, and their independence, and that's the true definition of growth. Now, let's reflect on the deeper lessons Damani and Messiah learned through their unique journeys. Lessons that go beyond fame, beyond the pressure of their father's legacy, and beyond the expectations others had for them. For Messiah, the most profound lesson was learning to define success on his own terms. Early in his life, he was seen as the quiet one, the one who might follow in his father's footsteps in a more conventional way. But Messiah knew that true fulfillment came from doing what felt right for him, not what the world expected. The decision to step away from the spotlight and focus on education wasn't a retreat, it was a bold statement. It was his way of saying, I don't need to chase fame or success the way others do to find my own purpose. One of the most powerful things Messiah realized was the importance of creating stability in your life, emotionally, mentally, and professionally. In an industry that's all about instant gratification and external validation, he chose a path that allowed him to build something lasting. He understood that true impact isn't just about how many people know your name or how many followers you have. It's about the lives you touch in meaningful ways and the positive difference you can make. Messiah's journey also taught him the value of resilience. As the son of a celebrity, it would have been easy to feel like he was living in someone else's shadow, but Messiah didn't see it that way. Instead, he embraced the challenge of stepping away from the fame game, of finding his own voice without relying on his father's name. The real test wasn't about rejecting the public spotlight. It was about forging his own path while staying true to his principles. And in doing so, he became a role model in a different way, by showing that success comes in many forms, and it doesn't always have to be measured by fame or wealth. On the flip side, Damani's journey in the music industry revealed a different kind of lesson, one rooted in perseverance and self-belief. Damani wasn't just trying to prove his musical talent, he was also proving to himself that he could navigate the challenges of an industry that's often unforgiving, especially when you're trying to separate yourself from a famous last name. Every step of his journey was a test of his resilience. Whether it was dealing with the pressure of comparisons to his father, overcoming the stigma of being just another rapper's son, or figuring out how to build a unique sound in a sea of competition. What Damani learned through his music career was the importance of staying true to his authentic self, regardless of what the world might think. He faced the constant struggle of finding his voice while being constantly compared to T.I., but over time, he realized that success wasn't about being better than his father. It was about being the best version of himself. The music world can be harsh, and it doesn't always reward you for being the next big thing. Damani's resilience was built on the belief that authenticity and persistence would eventually lead him to his place in the spotlight. Another lesson Damani learned was the power of patience. The music industry doesn't give instant results, and it's easy to get discouraged when success doesn't come as quickly as you hope. But Damani learned that the true reward is in the process. The hours spent writing, the dedication to improving his craft, and the belief that over time, his unique style would resonate with the right audience. His journey wasn't about chasing fame, it was about building something sustainable, something that would last. For both brothers, their journeys taught them that growth doesn't happen overnight. It's not about one big decision or a single moment of fame. It's about the continuous, often unseen work that goes into creating a life that feels fulfilling. Whether it's Messiah's quiet dedication to education or Damani's persistence in the music world, both men learned that success is a marathon, not a sprint. In the end, the most important lesson both Damani and Messiah learned was the power of defining their own paths. They realized that their identities weren't tied to their father's legacy, nor to the expectations of the public. Their true power came from their ability to chart their own courses, to make choices that were authentic to who they were, and to embrace the journey, even when it wasn't easy. They also came to understand that success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you become along the way. Both Damani and Messiah have learned that while the world may have its expectations, the real measure of success is the legacy you create by staying true to your values and carving out a path that's uniquely your own. As Damani and Messiah look toward the future, their aspirations are just as unique and multifaceted as their journeys have been so far. For Messiah, the future is about continuing his education and broadening his impact. While many might expect him to follow in his father's footsteps in the entertainment industry, Messiah has different plans. His focus remains on becoming a well-rounded individual who can inspire others not just through music, but through education, leadership, and positive change. One of Messiah's biggest goals is to use his platform to create opportunities for others who, like him, have found their own paths outside the limelight. He believes that the entertainment industry, while powerful, is not the only way to make a difference. Messiah dreams of opening doors for those who may not have the same privileges, advocating for education, mentorship, and community empowerment. He sees his future in a broader sense, one that blends his love for learning with a passion for giving back. Messiah also wants to continue exploring the world of business, with a focus on social enterprises that can make a real difference. Through his dedication to education and leadership, he hopes to create lasting change in areas that are often overlooked by mainstream industries. The combination of his intellectual curiosity, his drive for impact, and his desire to empower others is what fuels his vision for the future. On the other hand, Damani's future is deeply rooted in his music career, but with a strategic twist. While he spent years crafting his unique sound and building his name in the industry, he's now looking to expand his reach and influence on a global scale. His goal is to not only achieve commercial success, but to use his music to spread messages that matter, to give a voice to the underrepresented, and shed light on issues that are often ignored. He's passionate about creating music that not only entertains, but educates and inspires listeners to take action. In addition to his music, Damani has plans to venture into the world of entrepreneurship, building brands that reflect his values and resonate with his growing fan base. He sees the business world as an opportunity to continue pushing boundaries, challenging stereotypes, and creating opportunities for others. Through his music, his entrepreneurial ventures, and his personal brand, Damani aims to create a legacy that will live on for generations to come. Both Damani and Messiah are deeply committed to shaping their own futures, and their paths, though different, are fueled by the same core values: authenticity, resilience, and the desire to make a meaningful impact. For Damani, it's about taking his platform to new heights, while staying true to his roots and continuing to push the envelope in terms of artistry and self-expression. He's determined to break down barriers and redefine what it means to be an artist in today's world.